doing online training is actually super easy if you know what you're doing. So if you don't know what you're doing, it can get super complicated. You can get distracted. You don't know exactly what you shouldn't be doing. You have all these questions, thoughts swirling around in your mind. So if that resonates with you, then this video is for you, because what I'm going to show you is how you can actually acquire new online training clients, because most people have things backwards, right? Most people, I got my little expo marker here, I'm prepared, right? Most people have things backwards. They focus on the back end of the program, right? They focus on, what is the platform I'm going to use? How often am I going to talk to these people? What is the medium of communication that I'm going to use with them, right? They think about all the things on the back end of the program that don't actually matter, right? Not in the present moment, okay? And so we as humans have been conditioned to try and solve problems that aren't even real yet, okay? And I believe that it's an evolutionary tactic to protect our brains, to, run from lions and stuff like that, right? To think super far down the road. But in today's world, the world moves so fast that we need to get really good at solving the problem right in front of us before we can move on to the next thing, okay? Because oftentimes when we plan for the future, when we plan, 5, 10, 15, 20 steps down the road, how often does everything go exactly according to plan? Almost never. Almost never. And I would be willing to bet that has never happened before in your entire life. And so in this video, what I'm going to show you is how you can actually start to take the steps towards acquiring the skills and achieving all of the goals that you've set out for, right? Because most people, they just get caught up in, the actual program, right? How do I create the program? Nick, how do I, how often should I talk with these people? Should I text them? Should I Zoom them? Should I FaceTime them? How do I record it? What is the platform that I need to use, right? And these are all very valid questions for people who have remote athletes. But if you don't have remote athletes, it literally doesn't matter. Okay, I'll say that again. If you don't have remote athletes, none of that stuff matters, right? Because why would you have all these different things picked out about your platform, your program, etc., on the back end when you don't even have anybody to train? You don't even know what these athletes actually need. And so what I want to show you is how you can actually build out your remote training program, right? And it's going to seem very, very simple, and that's because it is, okay? So we want to think about this as like a timeline, let's say, okay? This is your starting point, okay? And this is like, let's say, inflection points. And by inflection points, I mean when something happens, right? And this is, let's say, the impact that something is going to have, okay? So think about this timeline as like, this is where you want to get to, okay? And let's say, arbitrary number, 10K a month. That's what most people say, right? I want to hit 10K a month. Well, there are steps that you need to take in order to get there, right? So maybe points isn't the best word there. Maybe let's put steps. Okay, so there are steps that you need to take, and as you get more steps, right? As you take more steps, it will have more of an impact, right? If you went to 8th grade science class or whatever, you'd probably know how to read a graph, right? And so, as time goes on, your steps will have more and more and more and more and more of an impact on your journey to hitting 10K a month, right? And so most people, when they're trying to, make 10K a month or even 5K a month, or just supplementing their income with online training, right? They're focused on moving this domino, right? This is like the platform. This is communication, right? This is the actual program, okay? This is like the nuts and bolts of the program, right? Because at the end of the day, every online training program, any coaching program in general, right? My coaching program, helping coaches make money online training athletes, it's all about the results, right? And that has a lot to do with how good your program is. Okay. However, you can see here that it's like step 4. Okay. It's like step 4. And so what most people are trying to do is they're trying to knock over, like, let's say these are dominoes, right? They're trying to knock over this domino with no momentum from scratch. They have no idea what they're doing. And so they're pushing on this domino, pushing on this domino, pushing on this domino. And it's not going to fall, right? It will never fall because they don't have enough momentum. They aren't skilled enough to just push it over on their own, right? And so the best way to do this is by taking it one step at a time, right? And in my program, this is exactly what I teach. I teach, steps, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I read that backwards, but I teach steps, right? And the reason why is because each step is going to make the next step easier. Okay, so the first one is you want to figure out who are we helping, right? Who are we helping? How are we going to help them, right? This is all conceptual, okay? And the way dominoes work is that the domino, obviously this isn't drawn to scale, right? But the first domino only has to be half the size of the next domino and it will knock it over, right? So if you figure out who you want to go with, how you want to help them, what the price point is, everything like that, and you knock this domino over, then the next domino will be super easy to knock over, right? Because you have the power to go from start, right, 0 to completing step 1. Anybody can do that, okay? Anybody can create a little bit of momentum. It's just all about starting, right? The reason why most people don't start is because they're trying to solve step 4 before they even solve step 1, right? And step 1 is pretty simple, okay? Who are we going after? How are we going to go after them? What is the psychology of that person, right? Once we figure that out, okay, then we can lay some foundations. And it's so easy to lay the foundations of, like, let's say your marketing message or your remote training program or whatever it is, right? Once we know exactly who we're going after, just concepts, right? And then we can lay the actual foundations. And then once we lay the foundations, we can acquire customers, okay? And then once we acquire customers, once we figure out how to build a customer acquisition system, then guess what? Now we have customers. It is very easy to build a program for these people based on the foundations that we laid, based on how we actually know who we're going after, right? So yes, building your program is very important, okay? Building your program is the most important part of a remote training program because that is what's going to get you results. But you will never have to worry about your program because you will never be able to get customers because you've never laid your foundations because you don't know who you're going after. So if there's one thing that you take away from this, it's that you need to figure out who you're going after, how you're going to help them, and how you're going to speak to them. If you can do that, then you'll make 10K a month doing remote training. If I started over today from 0, right, and said, I want to help baseball players online, okay, I could go from 0 to 10K a month in probably the first week, right? Because I know how to do this stuff. I have skills, okay? And so with that being said, what you need to do is figure out who you want to go after, and then all the other dominoes will take place, okay? But until you figure this out, you have no shot of actually having success. So I appreciate y'all watching this. Go ahead, check out the playlist that pops up somewhere on the screen, a bunch of free training videos. And if you got a ton of value out of this, go ahead, subscribe to my channel, like, comment, follow me on Instagram, shoot me a DM, etc. But until next time, I'll catch y'all. Peace.